Detroit Den 313, Detroit Lions fans, welcome back. Steve here. Got another episode for you where I'm going to be breaking down some more NFL draft prospects that might fall to the Detroit Lions, might fit us, might not. Hit that subscribe button before I get into it. It's greatly appreciated. I've said several times, guys, I love having interaction with our followers, with our fans, with people who watch this show regularly. I'm going to talk today about a guy who was mentioned in the comments several times. I think almost every draft episode, someone has mentioned Chop Robinson from Penn State. I finally said, all right, it's getting to be that point where I'm telling you guys to put a name out there and I'm going to talk about it. So here I am. You might not like my opinion. You might not love it, but I am going to talk about the kid. Just goes to show that I want you guys to be engaged. I want to talk about things that you guys want to hear. I want to talk about players that you guys want to hear about. I'm going to give my opinion. You guys are free and welcome to give yours in the comments. Leave it down below. So Chop Robinson. You guys have mentioned him a lot. I've seen like 7, 8 of our followers, YouTube fans, people mention him in the comments. I looked him up. I knew who he was. Obviously, I'm very familiar with Big Ten players. That's probably my bread and butter. I watch a lot of Big Ten football, a lot of it. I watch damn near every big game. Michigan fan, so I'm keeping tabs on Penn State. I'm always keeping tabs on Ohio State. That's usually been our big competition in the last couple of years, so I'm keeping tabs on him. So Chop Robinson's a guy I'm familiar with. Not 100% familiar with him. I'll be honest. It's not like I know him like the back of my hand. I had to do a little digging. Had to do a little research, look up some film, some things I like, some things I don't like, guys. There's a lot of things I like. There's a lot of things I don't like. At the end of the show, I will give my opinion on what I would do if I'm the Detroit Lions and Chop Robinson is available at pick 29. Here's the thing. Chop, probably him, Kool-Aid McKinstry, we got to get him in a boxing ring. Someone's got to fight for the greatest name in this NFL draft. Chop Robinson, Kool-Aid McKinstry. 10 out of 10 name. Hell of a player at the college level. He's a hell of a player at the college level. I'm not trying to tip my hand too much, but guys, what I've seen from Chop, elite speed. Absolute elite speed off the edge. I love the speed. You can never have too much speed, especially on defense when you're trying to rush a passer. That's a tongue twister. When you're trying to rush a passer, you need speed. You need to be able to get there before he can get that ball out. I'm not reinventing the wheel with that take. I know it's just kind of common knowledge. You get there before he throws the ball, you get a sack. You get there a second as he's throwing the ball, you can create a bad throw, turnover, forced fumble. Who knows? Just depends. Speed is what the NFL is all about. You can never have too much of it. You can never have too many pass rushers, in my opinion. The Detroit Lions are banged up in the secondary, and I've said and I've stood on this island, what fixes a questionable secondary? It's an elite pass rush. Other than Aiden Hutchinson, we don't have much to talk about when it comes to pass rushers. James Houston, injured all year. Kaminsky, not much of a pass rusher. Ali McNeil, kind of hit or miss at times, in my opinion. I think he's trending in the right direction, still young, still time to develop. But when you look at the Detroit Lions defense and you look at pass rushers, guys who are going to get after him, it's Aiden Hutchinson. We need him some help. I understand that. Is Chop Robinson a guy? He could be. He very well could be. And it's going to come down to a couple things that I'm going to get to here in a minute. So here's what I've seen from Chop. Normally, when it's Big Ten guys, sometimes I could just talk about them. I already know enough about them to form an opinion. I actually sat down. I watched some tape. I watched all of his plays where he was on the field against the Michigan Wolverines. I went back, rewatched it. He had a damn good game. Didn't light up the box score, but he was a presence that our offensive line felt. J.J. McCarthy was making checks towards his side. He got some pressures on J.J. What I like about Chop, I already said his speed. His speed is elite. His first 2 steps off the ball in college football are second to none. Another thing that I really like, his bend. After about 1 or 2 steps, he's starting to dip that shoulder. He's starting to get underneath that offensive lineman so he can get around him or force the offensive lineman to hold him and cause an infraction. Love his speed, love his bend. So like I said, I was watching the Michigan game, who was probably the best offensive line that he's played all year. He wasn't an overwhelming force, but he was in JJ's face enough to make him check down. I think JJ was gearing up to chuck a ball deep on a couple throws and saw Chop coming, and he had to check it down, hit Cornelius Johnson in the flat a couple times. He affected the game. He kept the Penn State Nittany Lions defense in a position to keep battling, not giving up those big plays by getting pressures. I like that. I love it all. Here's the thing. You can have speed, you can have bend. what I think that those are two very good things you need as a pass rusher: speed and bend. I got to talk about some negatives, some things I don't like. When I'm looking this kid up, I think he's very lean. He's kind of in my opinion, does not carry a lot of weight, guys. You can disagree with me. It's perfectly fine. I understand. He's a little small. He's kind of a in-between size for me. 6'3", 250 pounds. Little too big to be playing safety, but in my opinion, a little bit too small to be playing defensive end, 250 pounds. I think you need to at least be 265 to hold your own. I also think that when you're 250, you have to have a lot of things that you can do. You have to have an arsenal of pass rushing moves. I don't see a lot of hand technique with Chop Robinson, and I watched some other YouTube video guys, and they said the same thing. I form my own opinions. If I agree with someone, what they say, I'm like, yeah, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. I don't see him using his hands a lot to get. I don't see him getting an extension and kind of ripping through an offensive lineman. I think it's purely speed in a dip move to get around alignment. I don't see a lot of hand battling that he's winning. I'm not saying that that's not coachable. If we just hired that guy from the Tennessee Titans, Terrell, I can't think of his name. We just talked about him, Terrell something. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. If we can get him coached up and get his technique polished, I think Chop Robinson could be very dangerous. But 6'3", 250, it's just a weird size to me. It kind of reminds me of a Nolan Smith last year coming out from Georgia. Kind of the same thing. Like, what do you do? Do you put him at linebacker on just pass rush situations? Is that what you want to do when you're drafting a guy at 29? I don't know. Kind of reminds me of a lot of what James Houston does. I think we kind of already just have that kind of guy, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying that Chop Robinson can't be better. I think Chop Robinson could be much better than James Houston. But what I'm trying to say is, are you going to draft him 29 to do something just a little bit better than something James Houston does? You could. I'm not going to be mad about it. But I think he's just kind of fallen in that weird range, 6'3", 250, where you can't put him at defensive end full time. And what do you do with him? Is he a linebacker? I don't know. Can he cover? Haven't really seen him cover much. He didn't really drop into coverage that much in college. Do I want to draft a guy that's going to be a quote-unquote project where I don't have a firm answer? This is where Brad Holmes earns his money because he's the one who has to answer it. Me, I'm personally passing on Chop, and it's just because I don't know what he's going to be doing. I don't know what his position or what his role is going to be if he's on the Detroit Lions. Too small for a safety, too big for a defense, or too small for a defensive end, too big for a safety. Sorry. I just don't know. I like James Houston. I like what James Houston can do. I think Chop Robinson can take all of the stuff James Houston does, and he could do it better. Is that worth a 29th pick, though? I don't see that. And I don't know if Chop makes it to us at 61. So I think he's going to go somewhere between 29 and 61. I just don't know if he's a fit for the Lions, guys. And I've always said this whole offseason so far, I'm very heavy on pass rush. There's some guys I like in free agency. I'm probably gearing up towards signing one of them more than drafting Chop Robinson. I like the player. I think he's got absolute elite speed, and that's going to get him drafted alone right there. Speed, someone will find a way to get you on a football field. And if that's the Detroit Lions, that's fine. I'm just saying, for me personally, it's a pass. I just don't see it. He will get drafted. Someone will work with him. Someone will find him a place to be. If that's Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions and that's what they decide to do, I'm okay with it. I'm not gonna be mad if we draft Chop. I'm just saying, for me, Steve Perkins, personally, I have more questions than I do answers. That's all I'm saying. So, guys, talked about Chop. You guys asked me. You guys left it in the comments. That's my opinion. I'm passing on him. I like it. I just see him as more of kind of a project at this point in his career. Coming out of Penn State, they put out some good defensive players. I might be looking more toward a Kalen King from Penn State at 29 more than a Chop Robinson, but we'll see if he's there. I don't know. Maybe that's someone I talk about later. That's my opinion. Leave a comment down below. If you disagree, that's perfectly fine. Keep it respectful. Throw out another player. We'll talk about him on the show. Hit that like button, guys. Please, please, please hit that subscribe button. It's greatly appreciated. I'm going to get with Will later tonight. We'll do another episode. We'll be back together. I miss you, Will. Miss you, buddy. Thoughts and prayers. See you later, guys. Have a good day.